Goes out the window.
Does it annoy you that you're named after that great man and he's in his corner for this?
Strictly business. He's getting the bag in it, so
Tyson, just a response to people like Bellew saying this is a freak show and other people saying it's just for money.
Haters gonna hate, bitches gonna hate.
First amendment.
They'll use the bitch, and so was Carl Froch. There you go,
what did you make of
Tyson Fury has finally fired damaging shots at Carl Froch after he disrespectfully abused John Fury on a live session.
Come and meet me face to face. I'll eat Froch alive and I'll eat Bellew alive. You want to come and see me? I'm here! And I'm ready! And I'm stepping back from no man, no matter who.
The heavyweight champion has sealed his rematch with Usyk, but he needs a little time to deal with Carl Fr, and he did so brutally.
The Usyk fight didn't happen. You're fighting Ngannou instead of Usyk. You should be defending your title, really. You've got an obligation to the sport of heavyweight boxing as a champion. How long have you got left in the game? What, you got 2-3 more fights?
Tyson Fury is back after his loss against Alexander Usyk in the undisputed world heavyweight title fight, and his return is for another battle, well, not in boxing for now, but a verbal battle against the Fury family's longtime foe, Carl Fr. And what's a verbal exchange from Tyson Fury? Without a promise to be beaten up, however, it's expected that this feud with Carl Froch wouldn't be another distraction from his preparation for the rematch in October, as Bob Arum had just confirmed his rematch against Alexander Usyk, essentially Mike Tyson's former sparring partner. And friend Joe Egan had complained about Tyson Fury being too distracted before he went into the fight against Alexander Usyk. He questioned Tyson Fury's seriousness going into the fight and highlighted moments that showed the Gypsy King was never serious about the fight, as too many side attractions kept him busy instead.
It was a close fight, but it was only 50% of Tyson Fury. He wasn't fit for that fight, Carl. I don't care what anybody says. He was thinner, they were saying his weight was great. He wasn't fit. He didn't prepare properly for that.
It was a close fight, but it was only 50% of Tyson Fury. He wasn't fit for that fight, Carl. I don't care what anybody says. They were saying his weight was great. He wasn't fit. He didn't prepare properly for that fight. Well, he couldn't stop talking about Tyson Fury's ill-preparedness, so he did again. There's an old saying, failed to prepare, prepared to fail. His training camp was broken up right. He was out in Dubai watching Francis and Joshua 9 weeks before the fight. It turned out someone was observing Tyson Fury all along, and it was Joe Egan. He went on to highlight several key moments where Tyson Fury showed NAS unseriousness in the build-up to the fight. 7 weeks before the fight, he's doing a press conference in Manchester without Usyk. Usyk didn't break his camp. Then 4 weeks before the fight, he's out visiting his family in Murup, seeing his children and stuff. There are sacrifices that you got to make in a 12-week training camp, and he didn't make those sacrifices. Mike Tyson hasn't broken his camp for being a YouTuber. That's how serious he's taking his fight with Jake Paul. But I don't think Tyson Fury took this fight seriously. I think he believed the hype that his brilliance was going to beat Usyk. And yes, his brilliance, he had flashes of brilliance in the fight, but he wasn't able to sustain the brilliance because he wasn't fit. And then he had that other distraction, his father telling him instructions over Sugar Hill, and Andy Lee will have forgotten more about boxing than he ever will know.
Woke up, right? He was out in Dubai watching Ngannou and Joshua 9 weeks before the fight. 7 weeks before the fight, he's doing a press conference in Manchester without Usyk. Usyk didn't break his...
He then compared Tyson Fury with his early days in boxing, where he looked fitter than he currently looks. Tyson that boxed Klitschko 10 years ago out in Germany. How supremely fit was he then? Tyson that boxed Deontay Wilder in the first fight. How supremely fit was he then? The Tyson that boxed Francis that boxed Wall wasn't fought in neither fight. And it was the same to us. He wasn't 100% fit, and he still came close. You know, there's too many men in his camp that don't stand up to him and crack the whip to understand and say, Tyson, you've got to get out on the roads like you used to. He's an incredible engine that man could fight. When he boxed Wilder in the 12th round, he got put down and got up and was able to dance around.
He's doing a press conference in Manchester without Usyk. Usyk didn't break his camp. Then 4 weeks before the fight, he's out visiting his family in Morecambe, seeing his children and stuff. Now, you were the ultimate.
However, a rematch against Alexander Usyk is set along with some good news for the new undisputed world heavyweight champion. And while we discuss that later in this video, Tyson Fury has gotten himself into another distraction that that may ultimately lead into another loss against Alexander Usyk in October. This time, he attacked Carl Froch after countless back and forth between them in the past for disrespecting his father, John Fury, on an Instagram live session they had together.
Terrible that people will be watching this fight, the biggest fight in years, and there'll be young kids and people trying to get into the sport, and the attention it's bringing to boxing. You've got John Fury, the big idiot, headbutting.
And really, when you think of it, John Fury seems one of the worthiest people on earth for every form of disrespect. The headbutt of Alexander Usyk's team member, the repeated hitting of the glass separating him and KSI, the overturning of the press announce table at Tommy Fury's press conference with Jake Paul, the open challenge against Mike Tyson, and many other instances are reasons why even the least boxer would feel accomplished to sit John Fury down and finish him off with scathing statements. And that was exactly what Carl Froch did. He confronted John Fury and mocked him for Tyson's loss against Alexander Usyk. But not just that, he went ahead to blame Jan for Tyson's loss, claiming John Fury was responsible for the chaos in Tyson's corner on the night. Froch had told him during the live session that he was a destructive father, saying, "Anyone should be ashamed to have a father like you. That's so embarrassing. You literally ruined your son. He lost because you always want to steal the show, and you've done it by doing the most embarrassing thing possible. You headbutt your opposing team and shouted over your son till he lost. Don't even come for me. You'll regret it." Froch then quipped after John Fury said had no business with what happened in the corner and that he should get ready for some serious beating. "You won't survive it, old man. You'd be on the ground before I raise a finger," Carl Froch said. And now Tyson Fury is apparently back ready to take revenge on his father's behalf. He slammed Carl Froch for coming at his father, asking if Froch ever had anyone to father him. "Carl, you're a freaking idiot, and I don't blame you. You come at my father like that. Never. If you don't have one, then don't disrespect mine. You need to know boundaries. And don't cross the OS, I'll kill you."
Goes out the window.
Does it annoy you that you're named after that great man and he's in his corner for this?
Strictly business. He's getting the bag in it, so.
It's just a response to people like Bellew saying this is a freak show and other people saying it's just
Jealous.
for money.
Haters gonna hate, bitch is gonna hate.
First of many.
They'll use the bitch, and so was Carl Froch. There you go.
He further trolled Carl Froch for claiming he would fight John Fury for charity. "Leave my dad alone, ignored him, and let's meet, let's face in the ring. And let me break your bones and feed them to dogs, you idiot. And for the records, your boxing career has nothing on me as usual." Carl Froch is expected to drop his response on his YouTube page. Froch on fighting, having done that severely in the past when he had to throw shades at John Fury or his son Tyson Fury months ago after Carl Froch slammed Tyson Fury for avoiding Alexander Usyk to face Francis. Former World Boxing Council heavyweight champion Tyson Fury hit back criticism of his decision to face boxing debutant Francis in a 10-round non-title bout in the Saudi Arabian capital of Riyadh on October 28th. Prior to the fight, it was clear that the 35-year-old Brit was eschewing a bout against the former World Boxing Association, World Boxing Organization, and International Boxing Federation heavyweight champion and now undisputed world heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk in favor of the big money bout against former Ultimate Fighting Championship heavyweight champion Francis instead. And the two retired former world champions who were particularly vocal about their dismay in Fury's decision are Carl Froch and Tony Bellew. Their comments ruffled the feathers of the self-styled Gypsy King. "See these damn balls, lick them, idiot." Fury said the fact that Bell and Froch didn't make any money out of the game is obviously hurtful to them. "I just signed the biggest deal in boxing history, which I can't divulge to you right now. Like all these media suckers mentioned Tyson Fury's name to try and get some clickbait, but without me there ain't no boxing. I run to the game."
This fucking balls, lick 'em. Listen, haters are gonna hate, and the fact that Tony Bellew and Carl Froch didn't make any money out of the game is obviously hurtful to them. And I'm making the biggest bags that's ever existed. I've just signed the biggest deal in boxing history, which I can't divulge to you right now. But let's just say, clickety-clank, you know, let Tony Bellew and Carl Froch do a little mock-up.
FR called out Fury for disrespecting the sport and its fans. "It's not classy to talk about money at all. Me and Tony, we've done all right. We've got out of the sport with our health intact, financially free, physically and mentally in a good place," he said on his YouTube channel Frost on Fighting. He then continued saying, "I'm an average fighter. Your CV doesn't stack up against mine. It just doesn't. You got 4 wins over world champions for Steve Cunningham and old cruiserweight Vladimir Klitschko. In a real stinker, horrible fight, Deontay Wilder 3 times. You beat him twice. I've got 11 wins over world champions. Lennox Lewis, what's he got? 14.
In shithouse.
A friggin' shithouse.
To me, when you call somebody a shithouse, it means they're a bottle job. It means they're scared to fight anybody. I don't even know what that means, but he's called me a has-been. What's all this has-been business?
People are only interested in current champions, men who's doing stuff today, who's getting and fighting.
I'll tell you something, you can have as much money as you want in your wallet. You turn up to the Hall of Fame party next year, and you won't be dining on the top table with any of my peers because you won't belong there with that CV Froch. However, added, advising Tyson Fury to instead mind his business and concentrate on real fights. You should be defending your title, fighting other champions. How long have you got in the game? 2-3 more fights. It's a waste to take these crossover fights. You're casterous, ling off the fans. They're turning against you. It's sad to see. Deep down, I think you know you're hurting the sport. Get in that ring with a real fighter like Alexander Usyk or Anthony Joshua. Fury first became world champion 8 years ago when he dethroned World Boxing Association, World Boxing Organization, and International Boxing Federation champion Vladimir Klitschko by unanimous decision in Germany in a slow-paced fight with a low punch output. In the wake of the victory, he announced his retirement and didn't box again for over a year and a half. His second title run began in February 2020 when he annexed the World Boxing Council belt from Deontay Wilder in their rematch by 7th-round knockout. In Las Vegas, he then defended the title 3 times with knockout victories over Wilder, Dillian Whyte, and Derek Chisora, before losing to Alexander Usyk in a bout that would have seen him become the first undisputed world heavyweight champion, should he have emerged victorious. However, he's been giving another shot at that just recently, with everything now set for Tyson Fury to get his second chance at cementing his name on history books as one of the all-time greats and the less than 30 undisputed world heavyweight champions in history. Necessarily, Tyson Fury has officially activated a rematch clause to fight Alexander Usyk, according to top-ranked Chief Executive Officer Bob Arum.
Well, there's a rematch clause, and Tyson has exercised the rematch clause, and that fight.
The Ukrainian defeated Fury last weekend in a split decision victory to become the first fighter since Lennox Lewis defeated Evander Holyfield in 1999 to unify the belts. However, Usyk was in danger of being stripped of his championship due to the fact he was meant to make a mandatory title defense against Croatia's Filip Hrgović. Despite Usyk's epic performance that saw him add the World Boxing Council belt to his collection that already included the World Boxing Organization, World Boxing Association, and International Boxing Federation titles, the politics of boxing and actions of its sanctioning bodies almost saw Usyk vacate his International Boxing Federation title in less than 2 weeks. Each sanctioning body has a mandatory challenger for its respective belt, with a rotation system dictating which belt is defended first. The most recent mandatory title defense was last August when Usyk beat the World Boxing Association's #1 contender Daniel Dubois. In the case of the International Boxing Federation, their mandatory challenger is Filip Hrgović, who has long been next in line for a world title shot. But Filip Hrgović, the UF's mandatory challenger, wasn't willing to wait around for a rematch. Hrgović has been the top heavyweight contender since an August 2022 win over Gael Jones. The Croatian will be in action next weekend when he takes on England's Daniel Dubois as part of the Matchroom vs. Queensberry 5v5 in the same Saudi Arabia venue where Usyk tasted victory last week.
Material man. He's a man of God, he's deeply religious, and I love that about him. He's proud and he stands by it. And I just don't think there's any need for Alexander Usyk to ever put on a pair of boxing gloves again in his life. What he's done as an amateur, as a cruiserweight, now...
He was initially set to duke it out with Daniel Dubois for the title in June, with the winner expected to take on Anthony Joshua come September. While the International Boxing Federation did not enforce their mandatory title defense to allow Fury versus Usyk to happen, they had decided not to wait any longer, with boxing journalist Dan Rafael reporting Usyk will be forced to vacate the belt inside the next 2 weeks. Rafael reported that the decision is part of the Fury vs. Usyk fight contract. Hrgović is scheduled to fight Dubois On June 1st, where the newly vacated belt is expected to be on the line initially, it meant a very short-lived reign as undisputed king for Usyk, as their rematch later this year was to have just 3 belts under the line should it go ahead. The World Boxing Council, World Boxing Association, and World Boxing Organization straps Usyk, who was the undisputed cruiserweight champion before stepping up to heavyweight, also boasts the IBO and Ring Magazine belts. He is now set to take on Fury in a pre-agreed rematch in October, which is expected to be another close fight. However, after Alexander Usyk appealed, it's been confirmed that he would no longer be losing his belt anymore.
Immediate rematch?
Yeah, for sure, you know, we go back, have a little rest up, spend some time with our families, and we get it back on in October.
There is a rematch clause. Alexander, do we do a rematch again straight away?
Hence, he remains the undisputed world heavyweight champion till at least October, when he locks horns against Tyson Fury in the squared circle. Talking about the match between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, Carl Froch said, with this in mind, if President Daryl Peoples confirmed that Usyk officially requested an exception to keep his International Boxing Federation heavyweight world title for a Fury rematch, rather than being stripped for not facing his International Boxing Federation mandatory challenger, now it appears his wish has been granted after Arum confirmed that Fury has activated a rematch clause with his Ukrainian counterpart. Usyk requested an exemption to keep his heavyweight title despite the fact that Croatian boxer Filip Hrgović is the mandatory challenger in order to rematch Fury. Instead, according to TalkSport, Arum relayed the news before saying that fight will take place either at the end of this year or the beginning of next year. Riyad Usyk went into his titanic clash with Fury knowing that his undisputed reign could possibly last only 2 weeks. Given the mandatory challenger, the threat of a short undisputed reign and splinter of the belts was always a possibility when the original date of Usyk's clash with Fury was made. However, it was further complicated after the pair's fight was pushed forward following the injury to Fury's eye that saw the bout move to a later date. Usyk won the World Boxing Association, International Boxing Federation, and World Boxing Organization titles in a September 2021 points win over Anthony Joshua and retained the belts in a rematch against the Brit a year later. The same night, Hrgović beat Jong to become the mandatory challenger. Now the 37-year-old wants to extend the run with all 4 belts so he can defend the against the Gypsy King once again in their expected rematch later this year. Fury, meanwhile, has been handed a 1-week ban from boxing following his defeat last weekend. It has been revealed that the UAE Boxing Commission gave him a rather meaningless 1-week medical suspension, which meant that he would not have been allowed to fight until this weekend. Well, that has nothing to do with his rematch, which he'll be looking to go into in the best version of himself. But until then, the news of Alexander Usyk defeating Tyson Fury route to his emergence as the new undisputed world heavyweight champion will keep doing the rounds, and surprisingly, Carl Froch had seen this coming even before the fight, predicting the bout in favor of Alexander Usyk. Carl Froch held multiple super middleweight world championships, including the World Boxing Council title twice between 2008 and 2011, the International Boxing Federation title from 2012 to 2015, and the World Boxing Association title from 2013 to 2015. Speaking to a news source, Carl Froch said, "What's Usyk now 37 years old, so he's slowing down, but he's got the ability to have a couple of close rounds, not lose the round and say, right, I struggled there. He goes back to his corner and then just lays it on. He gets behind, more feints, more footwork, more aggression with the body language. He doesn't even have to throw a punch. He won't allow Fury to just lean on him and outweigh him."
I just think it's close, it's tight. With the way Fury struggled against Ngannou, I just think it's a tough fight for Fury to win, because Alexander Usyk doesn't.
After the match, Carl Froch claimed Tyson Fury wasn't so bad as he performed well in a few rounds, but ultimately, he was the second best man in the ring on the night. Carl Froch also blasted referee Mark Nelson and claimed Tyson Fury was really helped by the referee, and the result would have been so different if Mark Nelson had not intervened in Fury's favor. Finally, Carl Froch highlighted the embarrassing display by Tyson Fury's corner as 3 men, Sugar Hill, Andy Lee, and John Fury, all tried to shout the instructions into his ears. John Fury was the most prominent of the 3, despite being the least experienced. He was seen speaking closely to his son's ears, trying to raise the instructions.
His life. What he's done as an amateur, as a cruiserweight, now as a heavyweight, And the way he's finished there, I know he's got a rematch clause and he can make another 50 million quid, maybe more, but I don't think he needs it. And I don't think he's got anything to, well, he hasn't got anything.
And that's all for now. What do you think about the intense feud between Carl Froch and Tyson Fury? Let's know your thoughts in the comments section. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay connected with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to turn on notifications to get alerted when we drop quality contents like this. Until next time, peace.